Hey guys, welcome back. This is part number 3 of ICM's 48 scale B-26 Marauder build. Now in this part, we're going to continue with the interior and hopefully by the end of this episode have the main fuselage all complete, the interior and buttoned up and in one cigar looking shape. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've been working away here. So just quick reminder from last week. Obviously got the cockpit top area built, painted up a bulkhead and some bombs and stuff, and started the interior. So I've been carrying on with the interior on this left side here, and as you can see, I've put a couple more bulkheads in, which fit no problem at all. One at the front here too. The cockpit going to fit underneath. And as I'm doing each one, I am bringing the other half to it as well, just making sure this stuff's going to fit. Make sure it's no problems with the fit issues. And so far, we're looking good. Now I will say, this thing here we might be losing it. I don't see it's the way it's fixed with two tiny little attachment points hanging off the roof there. You're not going to see it either, so I don't think it's going to last putting this thing together, but we'll see. So we might be losing that one. So we're building up this side a little bit. Got to a stage soon where I've got to get the mask printed, and so we can kind of get to work on some of these turrets and stuff, some glass work. But that side's working on that one, and more importantly, the bomb bay. So I'm not, as I mentioned last week, it's not all about following instructions. There can be easy ways to do this. So painted one side already and left this off so you can obviously get in there and paint it a little bit easier. And the instructions call for number 24 to build, so I actually go back a step, way back here on 22, build a rail and then stick 3 bombs on it. And then you get another one stick behind. It makes no sense. And then you got to put a beam in there. So the bombs are going to fall off. They're going to snap. So build the structure first is what I did. And basically built this beam and then attached these two, what do you call them, like rails, I guess. And then built these 2 parts and then just slot this in. And you see some attachment points glued into the top. Plus, it's glued, so when we come to paint, you don't have to worry about gluing afterwards and the paint going bad, running with the glue and making a mess. So personally, my way of doing it is this way. You can still easily access the racks to put the bombs on, no problem at all, and it's all gonna be the same color. So yeah, I think that's way easier. So I'm going to paint this up, get the bombs attached properly, and then it basically fits in here, this area right here. So I'm going to get this area painted on this side, and you can see it fits in and creates the bomb bay. So that's kind of the game plan. So I think next up I want to paint these areas same as this we did last week with this, same colors, same techniques, and then we're going to get to a lot of details here with all these guns and glass work and stuff. So we're going to have to slow us down. We'll take each step at a time. So that's the game plan. So I'll get these painted and I'm going to check back in a few seconds. And power editing, you'll see the bomb bay painted. Okay, so painted the inside here, as you can see, just a touch of gray. I use any kind of dark gray. I happen to use this model color basalt gray, but don't necessarily follow my color combinations. You use any one. Just dark gray for the cushions in the back here. Hand painted the kind of metal strut that goes through the back. Just used aluminum. Again, just happened to have this one close by, and game color black. I've mentioned this many times before, but both Vallejo products, you got model color, you got game color. Now, model color, I have tons of these. These are traditional, hand painting acrylics. Game color are way better. These are sometimes watery. Now, certain colors are very watery, even if you shake them a lot. These are much higher pigment count, much nicer to paint. So now, whenever I buy any colors, I always buy the game color, not the model color. And I've talked about this, gazillion times before. But Model Air, which is an airbrush paint, the metallics hand brush beautifully, as you can see with no brush marks. So there we go. So painted that up, built the bomb bay, painted that up too, and I was feeling a little bit frisky, so I went ahead and super glued the 6 bombs in there as well, which maybe I could wait till I weathered it, but you know what, again, just feeling it, so I went ahead and just glued them on. And 2 little holes, and just finding the 2 little, very hard to see, there's 2 little pins on each one just to attach them. And there we go. So what I'm going to do now is give all of this a quick little wash, and I'm going to use Starship Filth, which is Abteilung paint. And this stuff I've been using the same tube for about 5 years now, so it's worth it. I mean, a tube might be, I don't know how much they are now, probably like $7 or something, but it's definitely, I think, worth it. So I'm going to put a tiny little bit in here. Now, normally I'd use a fresh bit of plastic here, but my little dip and well, actually comes like these. You get like 1 ounce little plastic like containers for like fast food, like for sauces, and you get the lids, and they work great for mixing paint and stuff. I probably get for 100 pack of 100, which is about $6 once a year, if that. Amazon to bring my next batch on Tuesday, so I'm just recycling this right now. So a couple of drops. I want to do a real thin wash here, and I'm going to pull out some enamel thinners. I'm happy to use X20, the blue top Tamiya, and just going to add some and mix it up. Okay, that's a little thick, so just going to add some more thinners. You want it kind of like a translucent. Okay, like that should be fine. Well, maybe it's a little thick. We'll see. I'm just going to basically just run it on here. It's actually good. All over. And when it dries, it will just pick out all that detail. So same with the fuselage here. Again, just dab it all over this ribbing on the inside or detail. See how it kind of catches the panel lines. And no, I still don't have the glass windows in. I'm going to add those in once this oil's all dry. Side. And bear in mind, you're probably not going to see any of this, and we'll find out, very shortly exactly how much you'll see once we've got this fuselage put together. So if you're building this at home, you'll be able to gauge if this is even worth doing. I think you will see in the front here because the glass. Okay. And all this on here. And you can see now how it's easier doing this than having, one side off rather than gluing it all together and trying to get your brush in here and get in there. So all right, so I've added one. I tried adding a wash to the bomb. I think I kind of like the really matte kind of look it has, which is more realistic. So I'm not going to add wash to the bombs. I'm going to leave them and just do it to the bay here surrounding it. While we're at it, we can probably get the cockpit tub done too. Again, same oil. I really like this. It's got a nice grimy kind of color. And the beauty of this too is if you kind of think you've overdone it, you can just, with some enamel thinner, you can just wipe it right off. It takes a while to dry. Definitely get some on all this detail back here. Just kind of dabbing it on. And there we go, easy as that. Pretty straightforward. The key with this, again, as I mentioned, is just making sure that that mix is thin. So when you kind of run your brush over it, it's kind of translucent. If you have it any thicker, you can get thick oil paint everywhere, and that's kind of goes wrong a little bit there. So as long as you get real thin, you can always add more, later on, make it thicker, but don't put thick oil paint on, but keep it thin, and it should look pretty cool. So there we go. That's a quick 101 in weathering this interior up. Let this dry, and then we'll get this bomb bay put together and probably installed onto this side of the fuselage. Okay, so the neighbor started fire at lawnmower, so if you can hear that in the background, I apologize, but I think this microphone should be able to filter it out. But as you can see, we are making great strides on the interior. Now, really enjoying this. Now, I'm thinking, being 48 scale, you can really get and do this detail, making seem visible, looking good. Now, I know Eduardo bringing out a 72nd scale Marauder. Obviously, it's going to be a lot smaller, probably about half the size, right? This kind of detail you're not really going to see, whatever. And to be honest with you, once it's all closed up, I'm not sure how much you're going to see of this anyway. So, yeah, where to start? So, I put the windows in. The windows, obviously painted first, added the windows, and then very carefully with some plastic magic. Again, this is a glue I'm using on this build. It's working a lot better with plastic than extra thin. Just on the corner, frame, just the brush, just dabbing it very gently and let it capillary action. You can see it kind of go around the edge, and in the opposite corner, another little dot of glue, and that's gluing it in. I could use white glue, PVA glue to be safe, but I want these really to be in strongly because I want to come out, because I'm going to add masks on the outside later on. There's no way going back inside this. I don't want them all popping in, and losing them. But no problem at all, no frosting or anything like that. Again, being open and taking my time and just a tiny little bit of glue in each corner, gluing it in. The bomb bay's all in. Now, I'm not sure why they built this with that hole there. I don't know why they just didn't do 2 gaps for this to fit through. So painted one of these up, and this will just fit on the outside, this plate. Now, again, talking about build management, did right on the back in Sharpie, which side's which, so I don't get confused. Moving back here, we've got the guns in there. I'm guessing these doors open, and they swing out in real life. Super glued in. Got the seat back there. Yeah, pretty much done. Glued in and added my fishing weight. So this is a 1 ounce. I'm looking for the packet here. I'm sure I have the packet around. Where did I put? Oh, here it is behind me. From Walmart, like $1. 1 ounce fishing weight. Now, this needs 50 grams, which is about 2 ounces, just under 2 ounces. So I'm going to put 1 on each side. So what I like to use in fishing weights is Gorilla Glue, this clear stuff. It takes a few hours to go off. So normally when I do these weights, it doesn't affect the plastic or anything like that. What I'll do is at the end of my kind of evening or session, whenever I'm in here, I'll apply it and then walk out and leave it overnight, come back and it's fully dried. And this stuff is hard as nails. It's like epoxy, really. I mean, it is really strong. So just a little drop in there, add metal fishing weight, and it's going nowhere. Now, I'm guessing because you've got all this up front, you can't put a nose weight further forward, hence why you need 50 grams, because obviously with physics, the further back you go, the more weight you need. And obviously this is going to be glass nose and all that kind of stuff. So there is nowhere to put it further forward. So that's probably why you need so much here. So it's going to be quite heavy once it's done. So built that one side, and yeah, again, looking really good. And built the turrets. This guy, just waiting for it to dry. Did mask off and just paint the green around the edge there to give it a little bit of visual interest. This does need a wash on the seat and everywhere else. But there is no masking set for the turret. Now, fortunately, both the front and back, there's no masking, and it's complex shape anyway. I've tested, and I'm pretty well for this one for sure. I can just drop in after it's built. So this will be the very last thing we do once this whole thing's built and painted. At the very end, we'll just drop these in. So that one's done, and the one on the back, which is very fragile. Again, we shouldn't have a problem if I just angle it correctly. I'm hoping, yeah, we should be okay. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Get that in there as well. It'd be a nightmare to mask that thing anyway. So what it means is we can leave them off, just throw some foam down it to block the holes at the front and the back while we paint it. And then once it's all done, again, like I said, at the last minute, we'll wet those in at the very end. So did that, and it's a lot of work. Now, this isn't a kit you can knock out on a weekend. I mean, to ICM's credit, I mean, the detail here, I've spent at least 20 hours working on this, if not longer, last few days. So yeah, a lot of work going in. Not sure how much you're going to see, but anyway, so built that side. This side's obviously a little bit easier because all the bits are on the left side. So just glue the pieces in, and like we did with the ports port side, the starboard side, we're just going to spray black, paint it up exactly the same way. And what I should note too is, as I've glued each of these bulkheads and different parts in, I have brought this in and offered up the other side just to make sure it does all fit. Because once you glue these in really well and it's slightly off, you've got to probably get these in straight. Because if you don't get them in straight, this whole thing isn't going to go together. And again, I've kind of fooled around with this a little bit and it does fit, fingers crossed. Oh, what else? Oh, fitting the bomb bay in was slightly too short, like it wasn't flush with this side. So I just disconnected this little beam along here and then got it level with the plastic and glued in and then reapplied the beam. So there's a slight, fit issue there. But again, it's just easy to fix. Just I want to make sure these things are flush with the front and back. And as you can see there, actually, now I look at it, this side's pushed out slightly by a fraction of a millimeter. So that's why that one wasn't quite straight. So yeah, anyway, we fixed that. And we are in good shape. So I'm gonna get these parts primed up, get this basically primed up, painted, get the windows in, get the windows in, exact same steps we did on that side, and then we can start get this thing put together. Okay, so the interior is done, as you can see. Now, final look before we bust it all up, and you'll see this never again. So it did have a bit of an issue, self-enforced mishap, and that was what the round window back here. When I put it in, I accidentally got like a fingerprint on it with I think some glue. Actually, sorry, it was this one right here. I guess when I was gluing it in, I got maybe a little paint on my finger, and then it got some glue got on there, so I had a little bit of a fingerprint slash paint mark, glue mark kind of thing going on here. So I fixed it. So how I did that basically was took a small sanding stick, pretty fine, and just basically sanded it all off so it was all kind of rough looking. And then once I kind of got rid of all the paint and stuff and the glue mark, then lots of tiny touch of Novus number 2, just tiny with basically a toothpick, just a little dot. And then I polished it out with my polishing stick. This is a UMP one. So this side first, slightly, I'm not sure what the grid is, but it's super smooth. So basically got all the little scratches with this side and then just polished it up with this white side on the back. And I polished it up, and although it's not absolutely perfect, it looks way better. And you see it's looking a lot better there. So kind of fix that one, no problem at all. So you see I've added another weight in on the other side to even it out. So we got 2 ounces, which meets the minimum threshold of 50 grams. So I think an ounce is what, 24 or 28 grams. And yeah, we're looking good. So we're ready to button this up. So I'm going to do it off camera because I don't want the pressure of doing this around a tripod. I need to take my time and that kind of stuff. So instead of using Plastic Magic, I'm actually going to use the Tamiya cement, the gooey, resiny, thick stuff, not the extra thin. Now this stuff, I'm using this because anything more than an inch with Plastic Magic or extra thin, it's going to evaporate. Whereas this, I can go around the whole fuselage and it won't dry. I can put the 2 sides together, clamp it, and then let it dry that way. So that's my game plan at least. So yeah, I'm going to do it off camera, slowly, surely get this thing put together, and then we can see kind of how we're looking, I guess, and how the fit is. So we got the first bit glued a couple of hours ago. You can see I've got it all clamped up in various places. Now the problem I've got here is the top, as you can see. Now I think I can get in there and push it with some pressure and get this thing closed up, this gap. So now the other part's dried, got the front end done. I'm hoping it doesn't all pop open. But various clamps here, just holding this thing together. Just looking around here, and there's still glue here. All right, sorry, I'm just checking over this. So, all right, so looking like a Marauder, but again, we've got this gap along the top, which I'm not sure why we have. I think it's to do with the bomb bay here, where it's kind of fouling on something. So again, if I put a little pressure on, I think I can get this closed up a little bit here. I don't break the interior, that's the thing. It's so fragile on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and start working again on this, and yeah, come right back and see how I look. So it's the following day. Just want to give a quick little update of where we're at here and see we're drying off. So we're together. Dusty. Looking good. I managed to get this together, seam, and a few things here. So got it put together, mixture of glues. So my Plastic Magic kind of dried quickly, so I used that some spots to clamp it and do certain areas. Then I came back with some sprue glue, which is this Tamaric extra thin with plasticard mixed in, which creates put this down real quick. It's like gloopy. Actually, no, let me see if I can get something. It's like gloopy, plasticky, molten plastic. And the reason I do that, not only is it fills the seams, but it really strong. So with it's kind of like this is kind of like an airliner. I'm always worried with airlines that sometimes you put a little pressure on, they can pop right open down the seam. So that adds a little bit of strength as well and helps fill the gaps. So I did that, added this piece in here, again, went around the seams, did that last night, then this morning came back with some gap filler. Now, I'm not sure, I'm still kind of testing this. This is the white one. Now, the black one works really good. The white one's supposedly for longer seams. And so basically it's like a super glue, white creamy kind of super glue that dries clear. So I'm still testing it, so we'll see kind of how we go. But what I basically did, as you can see here, you can use normal super glue, I guess, is just round the bead over all the seams, and I still see a little bit of sink marks maybe, but anyway, letting it dry, and I'm gonna let it dry overnight, come back, we'll sand it all back, and I won't be too crazy, so I don't want to flatten the top off, but you know, maybe 200 grit to get rid of the lumps, and then come back and with a sanding sponge to smooth it out. So that's the game plan. So I'm gonna let this sit overnight, make sure it really goes nice and hard and everything. And I'm actually gonna head out this afternoon and take my daughters drive up to DC because the Dodgers are in town, my team, so we can catch the Dodgers, and perfect. So when I come back tomorrow, and we'll see how this looks, and be hopefully ready to sand and move on to the wings and the rest of the assembly. It's the following morning, back from the baseball, got back late last night, go to see the Dodgers win and Ohtani get a home run in person, and back to modeling. So came out first thing this morning, and the glue was all completely dry for the gaps, and I've taken care of it. And the bottom looks really good. I think the top looks good too. We'll know for sure once the primer's on. Probably need so much work, probably need some touch up here and there. But surprisingly, I think I've got away without getting much any damage on the interior, which is good. Now, normally I would sand this down in the kitchen sink with some water running, wet sand it. But the fact all this interior is open, sorry, some sanding dust in there. I just want to be a little bit safer. So fortunately, you know, out here I have a door right here, so I just stepped outside rather than getting dust all over the workshop, and started with 220 grit just to get rid of all the glued bumps and stuff. Basically kind of get it smooth. And then with the sponges, I did a 200 sponge. It's an affinity sponge, and a 600 sponge. So basically this will take the scratches out. So tons of scratches from the 220, then the sponges, and then finally this old worn down polishing, just to get rid of the scratches, because we are going for that metal finish, so I don't want a bunch of junk going on here. I want a nice smooth finish. Small areas like in between kind of raised parts, I use a skinnier stick, and that was pretty much the process. So yeah, I know 10-15 minutes work, and it's looking all good. And once it's all primed, I don't think you can see any of these gaps at all, and it's feeling very sturdy. And yeah, looking good. I think it may need a little bit more work along here, possibly. Just again, feeling my finger, I can raise. So again, just go for 220. And the sponge. Then got the grits, get rid of any scratches, and finally buff it up. And there we go. So obviously I do need to go in and re-rivet and re-put panel lines in from where we sanded. That's not a big deal at all. And yeah, there we go. So I'm going to wrap this video up. A lot of work there. We got the main fuselage put together, looking pretty cool. Next week, next Friday, come back and we will work on the wings and the tail and all the rest of the assembly. So yeah, thank you for watching as always. I appreciate your support. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps my channel out as I get close to 10,000 subscribers. And I shall see you next Friday. Have a good one. Goodbye.